Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am here to discuss consumer surplus. ये consumer surplus क्या है? How to define we consumer surplus? Or what is the meaning of consumer surplus according to famous economist Alfred Marshall? Okay, so let's start now. Consumer surplus can be defined as excess of the price which a consumer would be willing to pay rather than without a thing over that which he actually does pay. Is the economic measure of the surplus satisfaction. This is called consumer surplus according to Alfred Marshall. And consumer surplus can be defined as कंज्यूमर सरप्लस उपभोक्ता लाभों का एक आर्थिक माप है. एक कंज्यूमर सरप्लस तब होता है जब कंज्यूमर किसी उपभोक्ता या सेवा के लिए जो कीमत चुकाता है वह उस कीमत से कम होता है तब भुगतान करने को तैयार होता है. वह अतिरिक्त लाभ का एक उपाय हो जाता है और कंज्यूमर को प्राप्त होता है क्योंकि वो किसी चीज़ के लिए कम भुगतान कर रहे हैं जो भी भुगतान करने के तैयार है. उसे क्या कहते हैं? कंज्यूमर सरप्लस कहते हैं. एंड द अमाउंट ऑफ मनी व्हिच ए पर्सन इज प्रिपेयर्ड टू पे फॉर ए गुड इंडिकेट द अमाउंट ऑफ यूटिलिटी he derives from that good. The greater the amount of the money he is willing to pay, the greater the satisfaction or he will obtain from it. Therefore, the marginal utility of a unit of a good determines the price of a consumer will be prepared to pay that unit. The total utility which a person will get from a good will given by some marginal utilities. Marginal utilities, I mean total utilities or summation of utility of the units of goods purchased and total price which he actually pay is the equal to the price per unit of multiplied by the number of unit purchased. Okay, so again I am saying marginal utilities of the units of the goods purchased and the price of which he will actually to pay is equal to the price of per unit multiplied by the number of unit purchased. And also we can say that consumer surplus equal to what a consumer is prepared to pay minus what he actually pays. Okay, total marginal utility or summation of marginal utility minus price into number of units purchased. Okay, the measurement of consumer surplus is illustrated in the following figure, which along with the axis of the amount of the commodity has been measured on the y-axis, the marginal utility. The price of the commodity are measured. MU is the marginal utility curve which is sloping downward, indicating that as a consumer buys more units of the commodity, marginal utility of its fall, as said above, the marginal utility show the price which a person will be willing to pay for the different units rather than go without them. And after that, if OP is the price that prevails the market, then the consumer will be equilibrium when the price of OM units of the commodity. Since OM units marginal utility is equal to the given price that is in the diagram which is illustrated OP. The mth unit of the commodity does not yield any consumer surplus to the consumer since this is the last unit purchased and for this is price paid the equal marginal utility, which indicate the price he will be prepared to pay rather than go without it. But intra-marginal units, that is unit before M marginal utility is greater than the price of, therefore these units yield consumer surplus to the consumers. The utility of the certain commodity consumer can be known by summing up the marginal utilities of the various units purchased. In the figure, the total utility derived by the consumer from OM units of the commodity will be equal to the area under the marginal utility curve to the point of M. To the point of M, that is the total utility DM units in the figure is equal to ODSM. DM units is equal to ODSM. In the other words, OM units of the good the consumer will be prepared to the pay the sum of the equal ODSM. ODSM. Let's see. See in the diagram ODSM, but given the price OP. Price is OP. How much OP? The consumer will actually pay OM units of the good. At the OP price level, consumer will pay OM units of the good equal to OPSM. OPSM. It is thus clear the consumer derives extra utility equal to ODSM minus OPSM. ODSM minus OPSM equal to DPS, which has been shaded area in the figure. If the market price of the commodity rise above OP, in the diagram, if the market price of the commodity rise or increase OP, the consumer will buy fewer units of the commodity than the OM. Then at the same time, consumer will purchase of the commodity less commodity of OM. As a result, consumer surplus obtained by him from this purchase will decline. And in this situation, consumer purchasing power is decline. Okay. On the other hand, if the price fall below OP, if the price fall below OP, see in the diagram, if the price fall below OP, the consumer will be equilibrium when the purchasing more unit of commodity OM, more units of commodity OM when the consumer purchase more units of OM. As a result, this is the consumer surplus increase. In this situation, the consumer surplus increase, thus given the marginal utility curve. It is given in the marginal utility curve of the consumer, the higher price, the smaller consumer surplus and the lower the price. Higher the consumer surplus, the higher the price, and lower the consumer surplus, lower the price, the greater the consumer surplus. This is all about the consumer surplus. I hope all of you understand